Receiving your contents. Your audience will see it in a moment. Get ready. Get ready. Yo, YouTubers, how's it going? You alright out there, all my homies? Everybody okay? I don't know if anybody's actually watching at the moment. I've got two screens here. I have my mini monitor dead ahead of me, where I'm actually, it's my OBS studio thing is on the screen, is that monitor right in front of me. I've got my camera there, my webcam, and over there is my main screen with the YouTube screen on, right? So if I miss any comments, if anyone makes any comments while I'm talking, and I'm not ignoring you or nothing, it's like, I have to check the comments if anyone actually sees this live. There's one watching. We've got one watching. Identify yourself. Who are you? Welcome to my channel anyway. Yeah, I thought I'd do a live stream because there's one main advantage to live streaming, guys. Usually I'll record me speeches or whatever, and it'll go onto my hard drive, and then you've got to upload it to YouTube then, you know what I mean? You've got to upload it basically, and it takes a while, doesn't it? But there's an advantage with live streaming. You don't have to worry about none of that. You start streaming, you do whatever you do, and then YouTube do the rest, don't they? It's all out there, like, it's all done. Now I'm really kind of like still testing these microphones. I'm not sure if this comes out in full stereo. I don't know why, but I think this just comes out one side, but I've got my right side microphone and left side. Right side consciousness, left side consciousness. Still only one viewer. I thought I'd leave a little bit of time, wait for all my thousands of subbers. You know how many subbers I've got, folks? 117. And you all know it should be at least 1 million by now. My channel is rigged. They're on to me, folks. Heard the news? Well, there's still time, Tranmere fans. Join us. Join us while you've still got time. And all you guys who were disappointed with Everton, don't worry. There's always Liverpool. Sorry folks, but champions of Europe. Right, still only one watching. So anyway, I'll get on with it. So the main mission here is to just, record it, get it onto YouTube, and I don't have to upload it. It's just automatically done, isn't it? And usually I'm speaking in the evening when I do this kind of thing. But as you can see, it's daytime. Here in England, the time is actually, let me do to prove that I'm not like, I'm in some kind of spaceship or something, and the time is 17:23, folks. Time check. I'm getting 17:23 on the 4th of May, 2018. Welcome to my channel, ladies and gentlemen. I know I'm being a bit slow here, but it doesn't matter, does it? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. How much time have you got? I thought I'd do an important speech today about religion. I wanted to clarify some things about religion. The missing links, the dots, the mysteries, things that are hidden. Why do they do it? Why don't they tell us everything? Those kinds of things. I don't know. Well, I do know actually, but it's a long story. It's a long story. Right. Okay, let's get this in a bit more. So I've got a kind of, the sound is, it doesn't matter if it hides my head. That's what we want, isn't it, folks? Sure, this would be more like it. Yo, YouTubers. Stay out of sight. Yeah, I've got some valid points about religion, right, folks, where there's like confusion, and you know, I've noticed lately it's kind of hard these days, even admitting, or people, I'm seeing those little weird, you know, when you get those things in your corner of your eye, you see little flying dots flying everywhere. I'm seeing that right now. I don't know why. But hey, who's watching? There's one watching. Who are you out there? You can make a comment and let me know who you're on, and give you a mention and give you a shout and say hello. How you doing? Just in case it's an agent. Are you an agent? Are you a robot? Are you a robot? Or are you an agent? Who are you working for? Who sent you? Whose side are you on? DIY mic mount, elastic bands, £2.50. Yo, thanks for watching. That one person out there, whoever you are. Yeah, I've got some childhood memories to reveal about some interesting things. But yeah, let's get on with it, eh? It's all getting recorded, so it's going to be, hopefully anyway, hopefully it just goes up, you know. If I don't record it on my hard drive, I always get a bit weary in case my internet goes off or gets disturbed or something, I don't know. But we're live streaming anyway. And you can watch it later. It says elapsed time. Elapsed time. 1 hour, 6 minutes and 10 seconds. That's just not possible, is it, folks? I haven't been on for an hour, have I? You know what I mean? What does that mean? Yeah, I don't know. Can I use my camera to show? Can anyone explain this, mate? Do you take my headphones off? Or shall I? Can I reach you? But in the top corner anyway, it's saying elapsed time, 1 hour, 6 minutes and 40 seconds. How is that possible, folks? There's something not right here, mate. It might be 1 minute. Does it mean what? No, it can't, because it's got to be 1 minute, 6 seconds and 50 seconds. What's going on, man? I mean, some kind of time zone or something. It's like, doesn't add up, like. Am I alive? I don't know. So anyway, when people go to churches, folks, what are they really worshipping? Now, the hard part about all this Christianity business, right, is I've met so many people out there who call themselves Christians, right, and they're brilliant. I can't complain. I can't give them any, I can't criticise them, I can't attack them, I can't give them any grief. But I can certainly point a finger at the churches and say, they ain't real, man. You know, some of them, like, I've been in a couple who are okay, like. And they're all buying property, they all seem to be buying property. That's what I think they're up to. They're all buying property. They refurbish a building, they think about it, they'll use all the followers or the members of the congregation to pay for things, you get me? Like you say, we'll need to repair the roof, or we need to replaster the walls, or redo the plumbing or whatever. And then what happens is most of the followers who go to that church start handing over cheques and donations and everything, like. And then they start carrying on going to this church, right, as members of the congregation when all the work's been finished and the refurbishments and everything, like, and the building's worth millions, or, well, thousands, right? And then they sell the building later on and it's worth a fortune compared to, and everyone's helped build it, if you know what I mean. All the actual congregation have been used to do it, like, modernise it and fix it all and everything. It just seems like a scam, doesn't it? You know, whereas if you're just a private person with your own faith and you've got your own things, your own inclinations, I always recommend to people don't follow any churches, but by all means, you know, the word good, you know, good, goodness comes from God, obviously, goodness. And a lot of people argue with me, hey, there's no God, and I'm like, it's up to yourselves, guys, you know what I mean, I'm not going to argue about that. But I've got some mad points, right? Some strange childhood memories where I can actually, I've seen some strange things where, you know, when you don't actually fully know the big picture, but you know something doesn't add up, like, you know. And I always remember when I was a kid, once upon a time, when I was a child, I was about 5, maybe 4 even, I don't know. And there used to be an area not far from me behind, it was actually at the back of a church. There used to be a church called St. Peter's Church here in Birkenhead, right? And obviously where there's a church, right, maybe before I was born and our housing estate was built or whatever, like the area, the vicinity, the church was older than our houses, obviously, so there was a congregation in the area, right? And people would go there and pray to a god, or maybe some guy in a gown or whatever who's reading the sermons and that, like. But at the back of the church, I don't know, like, any of my relatives are watching, you know, people who might remember, there used to be this weird, what can only be described as a crater. Before, there's houses there now, the church is gone, they've knocked it down. I've got it on video, actually, I've got the building on video and old videotapes. I've actually filmed the church that used to be there, so I can actually show you it later date if I edit it in that way. But at the back of the church, it was just like wasteland. It was like a big space of wasteland. No houses, nothing. And there was this big crater. I mean, I don't know, I haven't got a clue what it was. It looked like a crater. It looked like loads of buildings had been demolished or something. And there were just debris, you know, bits of bricks, red brick and stones and rocks in it. Huge. Like about the size of a football pitch. This crater that used to be there, roughly speaking, like. And I always remember hanging around there as a kid, just walking around on sunny days, like, on my own, and I used to pick things up, and, you know, I used to find some peculiar items, like. And if I've got a piece of paper, I need to do a little illustration. Pen, paper, pen, headphones off. Paper. Got a piece of paper. Whoa, feedback. But yeah, right. I don't know if anyone's watching who knows me, like, will remember the big crater at the back. No, they built houses there. They've been there for quite a while now, but I remember the crater when I was a little boy, like, and I remember walking around one it was like, you know, them boring Sunday afternoons, and you just used to walk around, there's nothing better to do, like, just picking things up and that. And, you know, when you see those old paintings, right, folks, of, like, remember, it's all rich folks used to do religious paintings. You know, poor people and the meek and the humble, the stuff that the Spirit was talking directly to, they don't have a say in expense. You know, you couldn't go round and commission someone to paint the family, could you? You couldn't say, like, oh, you know, we're like beggars and that, like, or poor folks, and we get, like, these artists to paint pictures of us, like, to be put up in galleries or whatever, or palaces, like. And when you look at these paintings of the, you know, like Madonna and child pictures and that, like, it's crazy how none of them artists could have had real vision. They couldn't have any communication whatsoever with what we call the real things, you know. They're not, like, it's in their own idealism. They've obviously studied scriptures and all that business, and they've nominated themselves and crowned themselves as knowledgeable believers or whatever, like. Next thing you know, they're having themselves painted as Madonna and Child, or whoever, you know. There's always a character from the Bible who they will see themselves as, like, and worst case scenario is someone actually going, like, that, you know, they're actually convinced that they're the Messiah, you know what I mean? That's when it gets really bad, like, there's been enough of them, like. But you know, I'll draw a little picture of it, I'll do a Madonna kind of thing, like just you know, like a shape, and she's holding a baby, right? Right. This seems to be the pattern, doesn't it? Right. Like there's the Madonna and child, right? That's the classic pose, like, you know what I mean. But if they're just normal people, like, you know what I mean, obviously they'd pose for the picture like that, wouldn't they? You know. Hey, this might be a long speech, you know, because I'm live streaming, like, I might be on for quite a while, like, I don't know. But anyway, there's your Madonna and child sitting there, you know, like, I don't know, Janet Thompson and little Tommy Thompson, like, or Agnes Cartwright, or and little baby, or Mary Jones, or and little baby Joe, you know, whatever the name of the family is, like the rich people, they get themselves painted as Madonna and child, right? And then what do the artists always add to it? Like they always know. I'll just do it like briefly, and see if you can spot the difference between the picture before and after, like, you know what I mean, like. You see the halos. And they were always like this, like this. Like this. Oh, these aren't normal people, mate, because they've got a halo. You know what I mean? That ain't no normal housewife with a normal kid. That's a Madonna and child, because they've got halos. Because that's baby Jesus there, mate. That's their baby Jesus, mate. Really clever, like child prodigy. Like he said mama and dada when he was like 2 months old, so he became like the prodigy. Right, but you know the halo factor. If you look at all them pictures, right? It's crazy, man. It's quite funny. They don't look like halos at all, do they? They just look like, you know, like the rings of Saturn kind of things on their head, like this thing, right? And say we were like sitting in a room with them, while they were having the picture painted. I assume the artist would have had some kind of device or something he puts on their heads to look like a halo, to give them an idea of how the finished picture might look. I don't know, right? Or another thing is, you know, when they do live shows kind of thing, live sermons, where they used to go around the countries and they get collections, obviously, you know, and I'm talking about all countries here, not just talking in England or Britain and that, like, people are not educated, and then they might not have studied scriptures or be enlightened properly from the source. It's all word of mouth or hearsay and all that, coming from some church's doctrine or whatever, like. While I was walking around in these, when I was a kid, in this crater, when I used to hang around in this crater, this wasteland, and honestly, man, it looked like something had hit the place, like a bomb or something. That's the only way I can describe it. I didn't ask any of me folks or, like, you know, the uncles and aunties or anything about it, like, wondering, why is it like a crater, man? It's like, you know, when I say there was old houses there and they just got knocked down, it'd just be flat, wouldn't it? You know, it'd all be level, but this was like this huge, like, what can only be described as a crater, and I used to sit in it and look around and think, what is this? It's like a bomb's gone off or something, innit? But I was walking around one day, right, and I found, like, I'll draw it like what it looked like. Here's another picture for you. Right, honestly, folks, I know this sounds a bit like a bit of a drag, like, but I'm get it in the end, like, what I'm trying to get, the point I'm trying to get when the penny drops, like, right, like. Right, so I'm walking around and I find what looks like this, right? If you just imagine a piece of tin, right, and it was about, let's just put it this way, it could have fit on my head. Do you understand? It was a circle with a hole in the middle, like, but it had a bit like a missing segment, but it was made of tin, right? And it actually had those bits there were coloured like stripes, you know, like. It was actually had 3 or 4 colours, like radiating pattern kind of thing that might have looked like a sort of rainbow almost. You know what I mean? Like a tin rainbow, yeah. But it was bent like that shape. And then when you think about it, like, and I was looking at it, it was all rusty as well. It was quite old. You know, as if a lot of rain had fell down, and it you know, for some odd reason, I was the first person to come along and pick this thing up, you know what I mean? I was looking at it, like, and it was all rusty. It was tin. It wasn't like steel or iron, like, it was tin. It appeared to be tin. It could have been steel, very thin steel, but I think it was tin, I'm not sure. And it was like quite big, like quite a large disc with a segment missing, and obviously the middle's like a polo, you know, like a bit missing in the middle. And I always remember looking at it and thinking, what on earth is this, man? And I threw it away and carried on with my little adventures, like. But years later, as I was getting older, I used to look at these paintings of these really silly images of Madonna and Child, and like groups of religious people, you know, like there's all these people who are looking at each other like that, like, you know what I mean, with all these gowns on, all dressing in clothes that weren't around when Jesus was around. And, you know, like, they always have the big mistake they make in them pictures immediately is the clothes and the fashion and the design, and it all looks so intricate, and you know, none of those people wore stuff like that, you know what I mean? They were like royal robes or grand robes for rich people, right? And I thought to myself, years later, I thought, wow, that piece of tin, I always wondered what it was. It could have been a halo, like an imposter halo, like, and all it does, you know, you just put it on your head. You know, you're a normal dude 1 minute, like, you know what I mean? And like Superman goes into the phone box and gets changed into Superman, like, you know. It's like you put your halo on your head. Abracadabra, voila, you become like a holy, like, like this amazing, like them two, like, you know what I mean? really endowed with the Holy Spirit, like, with a piece of tin on your head. Well, say you were doing a live show where you had to be on a stage or something, and you were getting people to do a mass prayer, if you don't know what I'm saying, and at the end of every mass there's a collection, isn't there, you know? I don't care what you say, I don't care what country you're in, I bet you most masses there's a collection, you know? There's usually, you know, asses on seats, money in the bank, asses on seats, let's buy another property, let's do up another church, and we need to buy more properties, alright? We need more money. So you get these guys going around everywhere wearing a halo on the head, impersonating something. Right. Now, I've never heard of anything like that anywhere else. I've never seen it. I've never seen anyone actually putting a tin halo on, like, or like in a costume. Maybe in a nativity play in school or something like that, you know, that kind of thing, like. But I thought to myself, maybe there was some kind of cult here or something, and they used to go around, like, doing shows or whatever, sort of wearing these tin halos, like, as a kind of, like, making look. Because from a distance, if they were all on a stage and you weren't allowed to go near them and there was security, right? You know, the way things are in rules here, whatever, you're not allowed to go anywhere near them, are you? You can't just... Can anyone just walk up to a member of the royal family and go, alright, how's it going? Give them a pat on the back like we do, like we can to one another? Of course not, you know what I mean? Of course not, like. But let's just suppose they were like imposters pretending they were holy. And they got the halos on, like, all like that, looking forward at the audience, like, going, yes, speaking in Latin or whatever they do, like. And as soon as one of them turns the head sideways and goes like that, you know, if they blow the gaff, like, they turn it sideways like that and you see it's flat, you know, and you go, that's flat, that's not a halo, that's not like an aura or a holy glow or like someone's like spiritual, you know, I don't know, magical ghost or whatever you want to call it, like. So I did actually say to myself, well, that was like from an early age. I was thinking like, wow, did these paintings make any sense? Because I was completely anti-religious, guys. I was always looking for something. You know what I mean? But I was, I've had a couple of examples of going to churches, and they were like, you're trying not to laugh instead of praying. Do you get me? Because you just think these aren't for real, mate. Right, which leads me to the missing link. Like what runs something like that? What would keep like everyone wanting to, like worship? And the real God doesn't do that. It doesn't need gatherings. It's it's all printed in the scriptures about like a real church. A real one is two people. Say there's one person, there's another person. They could be sitting on a bus stop, right? Could be sitting in a pub. Could be sitting anywhere, you know what I mean? But all of a sudden the conversation comes up. One of them goes, I think there's a divine God, that's kind of responsible for everything, And the other one goes, well, you know what? That's what I think, I've always thought there's something that's, and as soon as they start talking about it, like, and then they're starting to get, like, propel the conversation into getting really interesting and making like suggestions that there is a real divine spirit and it really is helping them out. That spirit actually appears in their presence, or it will be there watching them, and that's it. From that moment on, it becomes a church. That's why people start, if you're in the real places, they all look like the high, or like, it's like a, they're high on the spirit if they're genuine, but it's two people or more, not like a mega church or like Billy Graham's like stadiums and that, like, we've seen it there. They're prepared to do it, aren't they? They used to go on football grounds and everything doing it, like, but there'd be collections at the end of it every time, man. How many people want to put some money in the buckets, or how many people want to put some money in the basket? And then they go and buy another church, another building and that, like, carry it on, like. Private faith is something else, isn't it? Now, I'm talking on behalf of everyone here, guys. I'm not just talking about, like, Christianity. I'm talking about the big four religions, which is Judaism, Catholicism, Christianity, and Islam, right? They're the big four, right? I've met genuine people from all them corners who I've got nothing against. But I can question all, including Christianity, I can question all four of the religions and say, there seems to be a hidden link behind all of them, right? That the innocent folks aren't meant to see, right? And what do we see in the scriptures? It mentions a dragon, right? It mentions a serpent of old, right? Now, when, a serpent of old, they could be talking about a snake or whatever, but I think it's talking about a dragon. Like the film Reign of Fire, or what's another one? Well, there's a film called Dragonheart, isn't there, where the dragon's dead friendly, and it's like, like... But if some like a divine spirit is pointing out some kind of creature that we would commonly refer to, I don't mean the Oriental dragons, guys. They're meant to be imperial lung serpents. Now, as far as I can see, they don't look like serpents to me, those Oriental things. They look more like half fish, half lion, don't they? The Chinese dragon, the hiya, the thing that's like you see in the chip shops and, on robes from China and stuff, right? And the claim was back in them days, in the ancient days, right? The imperial lung serpent used to dwell in the lungs of the emperors, the Chinese emperors, or the Oriental rulers. They meant to, their signal of divinity, or their authoritarian, what gave them the right to rule, was apparently having this long serpent, or I'd call it a fish, basically. A half fish, half lion creature, yeah. And they used to, apparently they dwelled in the lungs, and like they didn't, it sounds crazy, doesn't it, right? But there's an old legend of, Merlin in the old texts they found about Merlin. When Merlin was a boy, he was always disturbed and had all kinds of problems and stuff, right? And he supposed, this is like legend, right, folks, but I believe it's based on some real facts, right? He was meant to have gone to see the king of his time, the king, when Merlin was a boy, the king of his day was a guy called Vortigern, or Vortigern, King Vortigern. I think it's more Scandinavian than English or whatever, like maybe Gaelic or Celtic. We use the word Celtic loosely, just as a kind of modern, you know, Celts. Celts is like when you go, the people who wear kilts, they wear kilts. The Celts. Not all Gauls and those kinds of people wore kilts. They wore pants as well, you know, made out of skins and things. But when Merlin went to see Vortigern as supposed to be a youth or a teenager, right, he was, King Vortigern examined him and listened to what he had to say. And he said to him, you know what your problem is, Merlin? Young Merlin, you know what your problem is? You've got in your lungs, think about this, guys, lung dragons and lungs and serpents in your lungs, right? Apparently in Merlin's lungs, right, Vortigern diagnosed you've got 2 dragons in your lungs. One's an English dragon and one's the Welsh dragon, or, you know, Cymru. One's Cymru and one's England, or Albion, or whatever, as the Romans call it, or whatever, yeah? And they're both arguing constantly, and it's in history, it's kind of repeated itself over and over again, right, as, you know, Scousers in Liverpool. I live in the Wirral, right? I'm right in the middle of Liverpool and Wales. If you look at the map, if you look at Google Maps and you look at the Wirral Peninsula, right, it's a Viking territory. There's all kinds of links to the, you know, Ireland, the Gauls, all that stuff. And it links to Wales, obviously. But we've got a metropolitan city called Liverpool on the other side, haven't we? Which is obviously, all cities are kind of, you know, they're constructed by the metropolis, aren't they? They always have a town hall. They always have the same principles of leadership to establish laws and things. Over in Wales, you go to, we look on one side, there's Liverpool. It's just nothing but houses, cars, roads, traffic, buildings, housing estates, blocks of flats, never ending. There's not much greenery there, right? Go look at Wales on the other side of the Wirral Peninsula. It's like the houses are dotted and the towns and the villages are dotted like little dots all over the place. We're just surrounded by these gorgeous green hills and mountains, you know? So, theoretically speaking, like, whatever's happened in Liverpool is not as true to the core as what's gone on in Wales. Obviously, Wales has tried to retain everything. I know it's down to, a lot of it's down to the principalities turning all the land into farms so that no one can build there and live there. You know, that's like we should be able to just go to Wales and build a cottage. If I want, I should be allowed to go to Wales or the Lake District where there's loads of slate and just build a cottage if I wanted to. I'd know how to do it, you know what I mean? But who would let me do it if I just suddenly got stopped by the law and go, what are you doing there, mate? So I'm just building my house, like, you're not allowed to do that. Who do you own this land? Say, no. You're on your bike, get off. We should be allowed to do it if we want to, you know what I mean? I'd be in Wales building my cottage right now if I could, but they won't let me, you know what I mean? They won't let me. They'd arrest me and say, this is the Prince of Wales' principality, how dare you? So it's not nothing to do with him. Prince Llewellyn, you mean? Where you coming from there, the Prince of Wales? Get out of here. Prince Llewellyn, you mean? But you see me point, right? The, like, Scousers, right? And don't get me wrong, I love Liverpool. I've got nothing against Scousers as people, but there's always been this deep underlying, like I wouldn't say hatred, but this competitive frequency between Wales folks, Cymrians, and Scousers from Liverpool, you know, the metropolis. and they sort of hate each other, you know. Say I went into a pub in Liverpool, like on a housing estate in Liverpool, and started speaking in the the Cumbrian language, like, you know, the Scouts would be like, "He's Welsh there, he's a woollyback. Let's fucking do him in." Sorry about the French, guys. Sorry about the language. That's like a representation of how the Scousers would talk about. And if you go for it, say I went into a little country pub in Wales, especially in South Wales, or, you know, and I was sitting in this pub, and they're all sitting there speaking in the language, in the Cumbrian language, like, and I suddenly go, "Pints of lager, please, mate." As soon as they hear the Scouse accent, which is Baconian, actually, I'm not a Scouser, obviously, I'm from I'm in the middle, we're in the middle, guys, you know. Wirral is a combination of the two. There's a little bit of Liverpool and a little bit of Wales, and there's a lot of greenery around. There's quite a lot of spaces, you know what I mean? But obviously, Metropolis is catching up. But the Welsh dudes, I don't like the reason I don't try not to say Welsh, right, folks, because apparently someone once told me it means shit. You know, like it was an insult invented by the English, Edward II or whatever. They invented it. They just look down on the locals and just go, "Pile of shit," and so they labelled them the Welsh. Not a lot of people know that, like, but someone told me that a while back, and apparently it's true. You know what I mean? And I don't agree with that. Obviously, that's why I'm saying Cumbrian. It sounds better, like, you know. People who know the Wales language would know that the word Welsh is a kind of insult, you know what I mean? That's where it came from. It's what the English labelled them. So you see where I'm coming from with this Merlin legacy, right? King Vortigern was probably spot on. He's probably accurate, because what Merlin's problem was, he was connected to England and Wales, apparently. So his dilemma was, wherever he went, those dragons in his lungs would create an argument or create friction, which meant there was always a fight, there was always a battle. This is one of the reasons why Merlin became apparently a tactician of war, because he couldn't get away from it, literally couldn't get away from it. Like, for example, what's the name of the engine in a Spitfire? You know, a Spitfire plane won the Battle of Britain. Merlin engine, right? Why call an engine Merlin if it doesn't have any you know, grounding in history? You know what I mean? Another example, what was I thinking of? The Merlin engine. What was just on my mind there? Oh yeah, in today's Royal Navy, right? You know, the modern Royal Navy, right, folks? They have a helicopter. It's one of the most expensive, most advanced submarine seeker, basically. It's what they use. It flies off the ships. It goes to sea on aircraft carriers, right? Or them kind of boats that have got a helipad on them. And it's like this mysterious looking black helicopter, and it basically, if there's a nuclear submarine in the area of that boat and they launch that helicopter, that Merlin helicopter, it's called the Merlin. They actually nicknamed it the Merlin, right? It will find the enemy submarine no matter where it's come from, you know what I mean? Apparently they spend a fortune on it, I know that. So there's proof that the Merlin means something to the military, doesn't it? They use the word Merlin, don't they? Right? So you got this dilemma of, like, he's being told that two dragons are always going to be arguing. It's always going to be his dilemma. And as he got older, look at what happens, you know what I mean? King Arthur fighting at, he's meant to have been killed by Mordred at the Battle of Camlan. You know, which is meant to be in Wales, you know what I mean? Camlan is supposed to be in Wales, as far as I know. If it's not Wales, it's somewhere in Cornwall or somewhere like that, right? And, you know, Merlin would obviously have been there. Remember, Merlin's supposed to have reared Arthur, like, because the condition was he allowed King Uther Pendragon to magically look like the husband of another woman. Go in there, basically rape her, you know what I mean? She thought it was her husband. You know, it wasn't like she was playing away. He actually asked Merlin to make him look like her husband. And Merlin said, well, when the chick, because they didn't have contraception in them days, you get me? Like, Merlin said, well, if there's a child, I get to look after them, like. That's the condition, like. Which is what they did, apparently. I know it's a bit exaggerated, folks, you know, it's been grossly exaggerated. But we still got this England and Wales contest going on from the beginning of Merlin's life right up to his later, you know, whenever he supposed to have mystically disappeared or whatever he did, you know, took magic mushrooms or something, I don't know. Right, so there is this legacy of dragons in the lungs, isn't there? Right, so you've got, like, in the Oriental version of events, we three kings of Orient are, you know, they've got like imperial, they call them imperial lung serpents. They look like fish to me, like, I don't know what you think. They look like fish. And half fish and half lion, I don't know. And they swim, don't they? Apparently they swim. And in legend, in the Oriental legend, right, them dragons are meant to have carried peasants. There's been stories passed down from generation to generation that, like, if you lived in the Chinese countryside or the Japanese countryside, you couldn't get on a train or a bus, you know what I mean? You had to walk for, like, if you needed some rice or you needed some clothes or spice, you'd have to walk for miles, you know, the whole family would all go on this adventure, like. And apparently this serpent of the Orient used to pick them up if it was like bad weather or it was getting dark and they could have been like jumped by bandits or whatever. This creature would show up and say, get on me back, you know, and it'd take them home safely. That's why the Chinese don't have any grief with those images. That's why the Japanese and the Chinese and the Orient and Singapore and all those places, they've all got this, they all revere those creatures, don't they? They see them as lucky, or, you know, don't like using the word lucky because you all know what that. They see them as a blessing, right? So obviously there is this link, isn't there, right, in the past to things of a dragon-like nature and a reptilian nature. Obviously there's a fine line, isn't there, between what we call dragons and reptiles, and maybe like a serpent, like, you know what, like amphibians, frogs, newts, toads. You know, there's a kind, they've all got the split eye, haven't they? You know, like a frog's eye can turn into a split pupil. Same as a cat's, same as a snake's. There's a link there, isn't there, where the pupil can, you know, turn into a split. So there's a dragon link, right? This is where I'm getting to, like, there's a dragon link, right? And I assume that going by the Bible, going by the scriptures, the parts, like, the translation stinks, guys. I admit that, right? I'm not going to argue with anyone about it. I don't take the Bible literally. I never have done, guys. I've seen it as a lesson. And I read between the lines and I absorb what I call the wisdom. All the wisdom in there, it emerges whether you like it or not. You know, if you once you've read it, you do start getting it, like. But near the end, in the book of Revelation, someone, John the Revelator, the Spirit speaking through him, is saying, like, and that dragon, that serpents of old, where the dragon and the beast reside. Right, so there's a beast as well, which I've witnessed in various ways, this beast of folklore or whatever, like, which is a big, horrible, smelly animal that they all worship in spiritual Sodom. Sounds crazy. So there's a dragon that's in charge of a beast, isn't there, in the descriptive form? Yeah, right. So isn't it plausible, right, folks, that churches have been designed, the false ones, right, they've been designed to cover the fact there's a dragon and a beast in the background, and you could be all, like, worshipping something else. Every time you go in a church and you see a cross with Jesus on, those statues they put out, there's sarcasm. They're not meant to be holy and looked up to. They're designed as sarcasm. You know, or being facetious, when you walk into a Catholic temple or something and you see a cross and you see this guy's face like that. You know what I mean? He's like, with a crown of thorns on and all the blood running down, he looks proper miserable, doesn't he? It's like, it's one of the most miserable sights you can see, right? And that's, you know what that's there for. It's not to say, like, in remembrance of our Messiah, you know. those guys, the beast and the dragon that's running all these things, that I've already put like threads of evidence that is the Vatican's definitely got a beast and a dragon going on somewhere. Like, why did they put gargoyles in the brickwork and the masonry, like winged gargoyles and dragons and stuff? It's obviously there, isn't it? It's obviously real. I thought I was actually going to say there, like, points. Come on, Bruce. But yeah, in the Bible, like, it mentions a beast and a dragon, right? So obviously there might be a bit of confusion when people are actually standing there in the Vatican or wherever they go, all these big collectives, these communities. There's people sitting on a stage with a false halo on, maybe, like, you know what I mean, actually representing all these classical characters. And in the background, the beast and the dragon are going, like, get everyone to get the money and that, like, out now, and we need to buy more protection, because it costs money, doesn't it? Protection, security, guards, bulletproof limousines, the Swiss Guard. You know the guys in the Vatican, they call the Swiss Guard. They look like clowns, don't they? They look like clowns. They don't look. They look a bit ridiculous, right? But they wear Spanish helmets, conquistador helmets, which is like, huh? They're called Swiss Guard, right? They've got Spanish helmets on, and they dress like clowns. But have you seen them on a battlefield, dressed in all, I was going to swear them, but you see them all like camoed up, like with the like, you know, the heavy like guns and the helmets on there, and you'd see it in a different light, because that's what they're meant to be, really, like, amazingly trained, like, powerful soldiers, if you know what I mean. They look so silly, but that costs money, that, guys. Do you know what I'm saying? To pay for those guys all standing there all around Vatican City is going to cost money. Likewise, if you go to Buckingham Palace, it's going to cost money, isn't it? Why do you need so much protection, folks? If you were genuine, if you had divinity, why would you be afraid to die, even if you knew the real spirit? Why would you even be bothered? If someone told me there was a sniper over the road and he's got like a gun and he's got a telescopic sight and I think he wants to shoot you, Bruce, because you've said something on YouTube, right? You know what I'd do? I'd go into my bedroom and get a little a red, white and blue, you know, something like paint, and I'd do like a little target on my head. Like that, and walk out the door and say, take your best shot, mate. I'm only going to go to sleep, aren't I? You know what I mean? I wouldn't go like, oh, I've got to accumulate as many followers as I can now, put a tin halo on or whatever, and get as much money, and then I'll start paying for mercenaries, or Swiss Guards, or elite soldiers and warriors and stuff like that, who can, you know, fly helicopters and planes just to protect me. Do you think I would do that, folks? Do you think I'd be bothered? Like I say, I'd draw the target on my head. I'd be like, you know, there's a guy out there, Bruce, you know, he's got a gun, like he doesn't like you, he's going to shoot you. It's like, is he going to shoot me, is he? If I couldn't find him and I couldn't reach him before he reaches me, you know, so I could sneak up behind him and knock him out, I'd do that, wouldn't I? But really, realistically, I've always said it like, you know, I'd actually draw the target on my head and say, go ahead, wherever you are, take your best shot, like, I'm only going to die, it's not a problem, is it? You know, whereas you try telling that to big wigs like the popes or the royalty, all these like big, they've got security left, right and centre, presidents as well, they're all saying they've all got security. You show me a world leader with no security and no bodyguards and all that stuff, right? So they're protecting, they're covering someone other than themselves as well. Why spend all that money on that protection, right? Which brings me to another childhood memory, right? Bearing in mind, we all know that there's this somewhere hidden in religion driving all these military. You know, with Jesus, it was the Roman soldiers, wasn't it? You know what I mean? You know, the Roman army were elite fighters. They could, you know, they certainly knew the stuff in war, but they were probably thick as pig shit and back at home. Like, I don't know, you know, it's kind of dumb, isn't it? You could be an amazing soldier, but be as dumb as, you know, thick as two short planks. You know what I mean? But like, bearing in mind, there is a dragon, and there's a beast of some kind that's holding the cards or holding the reins of all those royalty people, anyone who wears uniforms. Why is it no matter what country you go to, guys, whether it's Iraq, Iran, Britain, America, why is it like, say, Saddam Hussein used to be sitting there with his uniform on? His hat looks exactly the same, and his uniform's got like epaulets on the shoulders. And I mean, what's an epaulet? It's a piece of magic. That it's like a magical thing on your garment to give, like, so someone's like got the hands on your shoulders like that, like, you get me, like, and the police have them, you know, all these authoritarians have these things on the shoulders and a hat on the head with a badge, you know. And you look at like Monty, you know, Montgomery, the English commander, the English general or colonel or whatever he was, Monty. You look at his hat and his uniform and his epaulets, it's no different to Saddam Hussein, is it? Or Adolf Hitler or whoever. They all have the same thing. Look at the American Civil War, for example. This is the biggest one, the American Civil War, right, folks? North and South, right? They're meant to be opposing sides in war. They didn't see eye to... The biggest conflict was one of them wanted slavery and treat the blacks terribly, and the others didn't, right? That's the argument, right? That was like, great, I'm with the guys who like, yo, hey, let's give these Africans more respect, you know what I mean? This is wrong. So they end up fighting each other in a war, right? But one side's wearing grey and the other side's wearing blue, right? And they're designed, obviously uniforms are designed like football kits, so you don't pass the ball to the wrong man or you don't shoot the wrong man, you know. They give us a little uniform so we can distinguish from each other, not to hit the wrong, you know, shoot your mate in the head like, oh no, he's in grey and he's in blue, right? Blue and grey uniforms in a civil war where people who live together in one country are fighting each other, yeah. The uniforms are exactly the same, right? They must have come from the same tailor or seamstresses, or, you know, it was obviously on, you know, something producing uniforms on that scale has got to be there's got to be a factory, right? You know, it's not like some guys sitting there with needle and cotton making uniforms one at a time. It's all mass produced, isn't it, right? But you look at the hats, they've got like cross swords, both sides, guys, like a cross sword, like General Custer's badge or whatever, yeah. And they've got like the exact same uniform, but one's grey and one's blue, which obviously was made by the same seamstresses or tailors making the uniforms. How do you know, why don't they look different? I mean, we can at least count, you know, we can at least know that, like, when you look at like the helmets in the Second World War of the Brits and the Americans and the Germans, they were all different, weren't they? You look at the helmets of the Germans, you know, the fucking beep beep. All their uniforms, someone had got wise to it, mustn't they, as times passed by, like, you know, the American Civil War and things. Someone must have said, hang on, we better stop making the same uniforms for all sides, because someone's going to know there's one common denominator in the background, isn't there? How can you have the same uniform, guys, with the same badge, the same insignia on your hats in the American Civil War, and all be against each other? General Custer's pair of swords, you know what I mean? It's crazy, innit? It doesn't make sense. Right. So, I think the beast is actually behind war. It's what spins everyone to fight each other and have a war, because to the beast and the dragon, it must be like watching little dots on a chessboard, mustn't it? Like, they must, like, enjoy watching people killing each other, obviously. Right. And to prove that, like, I've got, like... this way, it's kind of funny, like... I went to a church when I was a kid, right? I was about, this is going back a bit now, I was about 10 years old, maybe 11 years old, right? Maybe 12, but I think it was about 11. And I was with one of my mates, one of my friends when I was a kid, and we were going around nicking apples, basically, that day. We were going into orchards, you know, like, there used to be orchards, and we would nick plums. Got loads of plums, mate. Got loads of oh man, I ate loads of plums, like, and you know, like cooking apples when you take them straight off a tree and you eat them even though they taste disgusting. We're going through this phase of nicking apples and plums out of orchards and that, like. And we were out this day, like, you know, it was like a sunny day, like trying to get some loads of plums or whatever. And then we were on our way home with our stash of apples, whatever we had. I'll just finish this off. Hold on. Mighty Reds, champions of Europe. That's a knock it back because it was getting cold. But anyway. This is actually recording, isn't it? It's streaming, isn't it? Yeah. Well, anyway, we're on our way home, right, from where, with our plums or our apples in bags, like, going home, like. And the place, I don't have anyone, know where people who live on the Wirral, like, or you know, any of the viewers who are going to watch this later, you come from Birkenhead or whatever. There used to be a place up at the back of Birkenhead Park, called the Emmanuel College, right? I don't mean Sylvia Crystal, the naughty actress. I mean, like, you know, Emmanuel, like, you know, it's meant to be a word for the Messiah, isn't it? The Emmanuel College, right? It was like a religious school. It used to teach people, you know, people who were training to be priests, vicars or you know, ministers, right? The Emmanuel College, right? And next to the Emmanuel College, there was this, like, bit of wasteland. And, you know, like a space that was just empty, like a grass thing, right? Like a field. And we're going past this college, and there was you know what they call a marquee, like a huge tent. Looked like a circus, right? And I've got this theory about circuses actually, you know, instead of, like, dissolving and disappearing, and they turn into churches, you know what I mean? They do it as well, you know, they actually, because it's all about collecting money. A circus is just like a money-grabbing machine, isn't it? A fairground is the same, you know, like fairground gypsies. They don't go around doing you favours. They take money off you to sit on a ride or whatever, don't they? They actually, you know, they're kind of like, you know, they're like churches in a way. They're just getting people together to take the money off them, right? But this huge marquee was there, right? This big white tent, and we could hear everyone singing inside, all like celebrating and clapping, right, folks? You know, like. And it said this sign, it was like the Emmanuel Tabernacle or something, you know, like this. We weren't religious at all at the time, or, well, I certainly didn't. I used to sing hymns in school, folks, you know, and I used to sing Immortal, Invisible and all that. Like, I used to love those songs myself, personally. I didn't, like, have a nervous twitch or anything when I sang these, like, hymns about the spirit and that. Like, I actually loved it, like, right. I was in the choir and all that, like, you know. But we hear all the celebration and we go into it, we go, wow, what's this? It's like a big party or something, or it's like a concert, and it's like free admission, everyone welcome, you know what I mean? Obviously free admission, like, but, you know, collection box later, like. And we goes in and there's all these people all singing, like, you know, like, it's like, you know, like a circus tent, the size of a circus tent with a stage at one end. And there were these people on the stage, and, you know, when I was a kid, it was like watching a rock concert in a way. It was kind of like, wow, this is cool, man. And I always remembered it because there was a woman on the stage amongst the people playing instruments. There was this chick with a white shirt on playing a guitar. She was older than me. I was only a kid. I was 11, and she must have been about 18, 20, I don't know. And I was, like, besotted with her. She was absolutely beautiful, you know what I mean? This bird, like. So I was like, oh, look at that girl playing the guitar, oh man, she's gorgeous. And she was sitting there like that, singing this song, oh, Jesus loves me, yeah, yeah. And everyone was like, they had tambourines all clapping, and they always have someone encouraging everyone with a flag and that, like, you know, like, oh, way, go ahead. And everyone was like that, all singing these songs and now celebration, right? And at first, you know, kind of, you know, that's what the idea is. You get sucked into the atmosphere and you end up going, I want to be the same and I want to change. You know, but because we were kids, we didn't do that. We didn't join in. We just sort of stood there watching it because we were a pair of rascals, really. Do you know what I mean? We were like scallywags, rascals, really, like dirty faces and that, like holes in our jeans and our baseball boots just hanging onto our feet. Like, you know, we were always skins. We both had poor parents and that, like. But we're standing there watching everything, thinking, wow, isn't this cool, man? Everyone's singing a song, like, and we weren't believers or nothing, but we were actually, wow, you know, and they were all singing, like, it sounded genuine, you know what I mean? It sounded quite genuine, and everyone looked cool, everyone looked nice and kind and, you know, pleasant and that, like. I was staring at this girl with a guitar, like, singing with this acoustic guitar, like, just like, I was in love. It was like love at first sight, you know, like a crush, like a... They literally fell in love with this girl at like first sight, but I was never going to meet her and talk to her, was I, you know? Maybe, I don't know. Probably bumped into her later on, I don't know. But the point is, it was a church, it was a big celebrating church, right? Bearing in mind what I'm saying, that like something in the background gathers things together and tries to cash in on the whole circumstance. The Constantine factor, you know. Constantine decided not to kill the Christians and burn the Christians the way the Nero had done before them and all that. He realised we could use these to make money, you know. Why are we doing killing them? They could be like selling t-shirts for us with Jesus on and all that, but it's like Constantine's having them made to sell them, Joe. That's why Constantine became a Christian, folks. Because they realised they could use the Christians as slaves, basically, as long as you were nice to them and you treated them nicely. They're going to carry on diligently doing everything for you, aren't they? Do you get me? That's why he did it, like. He didn't have a divine change of heart. He sussed out they were money. Right. So this church is celebrating. Everyone's like... singing the song, right? And we were like, wow, isn't this a good atmosphere, you know what I mean? And they finished the song they were doing, like... And then they went and was like, okay, let's do this song. And they put the lyric sheets, you know, they turned the page of this big piece of paper on the stage and everyone started, or it was a projector, you know, they have the projector, like, with the words and that, or whatever. I can't remember, but all the audience seemed to know all the songs. It was like they were all familiar with each other. We were just, it was the first time we'd been in there. It wasn't going to be there permanently. It was going to move on in a couple of days or something. And, we've got two viewers watching at the moment. 2 viewers. I've had no comments so far. Sorry for the pause here, folks, but I'm just checking to see if anyone said anything. No one's saying anything at the moment. But yeah, these people are all celebrating, all singing, right? Then they stop, and we're standing there like thinking, wow, this is cool. We're actually getting suckered into it, to be honest. I'll be honest, like I was actually thinking, wow, I want to change. I want to be baptised now. Then they started singing this song. The girl was playing the guitar. I was just staring at this woman, just thinking, I want to marry that woman. I'll not even pretend to believe just to marry that woman. Like, she's like that, like singing. And then they started singing this song, right? And they're doing like symbolism on the stage. I'll sort of step back a bit, like, so this woman was like, they started singing this song going, it was called Love is Like a Circle, right? Love is like a circle. And the lyrics were like, love is like a circle, it never ever ends. You know, that's the words they were saying. These, you know. I was thinking, wow, that's a familiar tune. You know, the words they were singing was brand new. Love is like a circle, it never ever ends. And I'll start singing it for you guys and see if you recognise the tune, right? Love is like a circle, it never ever ends. Oh, do 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 do. You know, they carried on singing like da 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 da. Does anyone recognise the tune? Hey, name that tune. Anyone? It was any live. There's 2 people watching now. You don't, well, you've got to identify yourself, haven't you? You comment, like, you always, I've got to see the thumbnail, haven't I? If they do actually comment. You can't comment anonymously, can you, folks? You've got the 2 people watching. Do you know what that song is? It's obvious, isn't it? It's Puff the Magic Dragon. lives by the sea. It's like a magic dragon, like Puff the Magic Dragon. And but they changed the song. So the words was love is like a circle. Where they say Puff the Magic Dragon, they say love is like a circle, right? Now, Puff. Puff the Magic Dragon is oh yeah, there is RS Hall. Someone got it, they just got it. Puff. RS Hall is watching from if I remember correctly, Indiana. Is Indiana the location where RS Hall is? I'm not sure. Indiana in America. Indiana, how you doing out there? How's the weather? You all right? So we were all singing, right? Well, we weren't singing. We didn't join in. We stood there in this crowd. There must have been about like 300 people in there, as far as I know, like all singing Puff the Magic Dragon, but with being diverted by the lyrics. And I was like thinking, wow, it's Puff the Magic Dragon, right? Why are they doing that? Like, why are they singing it? Why didn't they write a new tune for it? Why didn't they write a brand new tune and have it like, love is like a circle, it never ends. You know, they had to trigger our subliminal mind into Puff the Magic Dragon, like. And what I said earlier, you know, the Oriental serpents of Orient, and then I've got this firm belief that a real dragon serpent creature with wings or whatever is behind a lot of churches. I mean, I've had like dreams and visions and all kinds of stuff where I've seen these things, you see, folks. It's just too vast and too long for me to go into on YouTube. Maybe one day, but yeah, you got it. See, he's there, man. You got it. Indiana, how you doing? Hi from Liverpool. Well, Birkenhead, but I'm not far. Hi there. Support Liverpool Football Club. Tell everybody in Indiana to watch the Champions League final. And support Liverpool. It's not American football, it's soccer. I want your support in America. I want you all cheering for Liverpool. Let's hear get into soccer and watch the Champions League and support Liverpool. But anyway, Puff the Magic Dragon, right? Now, this is another thing what I found out, right? This Puff the Magic Dragon thing, right? There's two meanings for a puff in our world, right, folks? Two meanings, right? One is obviously, oh yes, Ducky, oh yeah, oh yeah, you know, a puff, a gay person. Now, don't have a go at me like in a. I'm not being prejudiced, but that's what we call them in England. You know, some people say, oh, you know, like a classic, Freddie Mercury was a puff. I'm not having a go at the guy, I'm not calling him names, but this is the way we speak in England. We say, he's a puff. They're puffs, you know, if they're homosexuals, right? So, in my... this Puff the Magic Dragon, was Puff the Dragon, like, bisexual or something, like? You know, because they might not like have any like they might not discern, or you know, they do, you know, like the Baphomet image, which is meant to be male and female at the same time. There seems to be this element of the two sexes being, I don't care whether they're male or female, I'll do them all, I don't care. I can imagine a dragon thinking like that, you know what I mean, if it's got right. And then the other word for puff, you know, it's like, you know, a cigarette, right? Well, I suppose you were green as the hills and you didn't know nothing about drugs, right, folks? And, you know, we take puffs. RS Hall. We take puffs. Puffs of a cigarette. Or, in the drugs world, right, you know, like, chasing the dragon. You know, like the terminology, right? Now, I seen some documentary, or I was studying in the phony, horrible system we call Mormonism. You know, the Mormons. They've got this thing, right? I can't remember where it's written. I don't even want to know, to be honest. Like, if any of you guys have got a Mormon book in your properties, right, folks? Here's a word of advice, right? Say someone's give it to you and you're just being polite and you keep it. Find it, make sure is it in the loft, is it in your cupboard, is it under your bed? Just get it, get rid of it. Mormon books we're talking about. Get rid of it, you know what I mean? Get it out of your house, because you'll never get rid of the corny vibe unless you do, like. But there's a thing in Mormonism, right, hidden in their subtext about, you know, when, say the real God says to us, I'll give you the vision, or I'll give you the gift of, like, good health, or, you know, just the simple things is what drives people in the real world, like. But in false religion, they award you with gifts and bribery, don't they? They give you things like it's a bribe to get you to keep going there, right? There's a speech on my channel somewhere called Drugs Part 1, right? Go back into my videos and check it, and I do a speech about churches when I was a kid that used to give us lollipops to make sure we went there, right, folks? You know, you ain't going there to pray, you ain't going there to be faithful. We were going there to get a lollipop. And if we took another person to that church, they'd give them a lollipop and give us a lollipop. So they had a system of bribery to make us encourage other children to go to the same church, right? Are you with me? To a child, a lollipop is the gift, right? To an adult, he's not going to want a lollipop, is he? You know, you go to some dude who's like 40 odd and he's like, I'll help this church. You're going to give him a lollipop, he's going to laugh his head off at you. He's going to say, I want a pint of beer or something strong. Do you understand, right? Which brings us to Puff. And this magic Puff. So some people would actually be intoxicated with some kind of gift, incense maybe, I don't know how they do it to them, like. And they have a puff of something, right? And it's the proof of it is hidden in the subtext in the Mormon writings, right? I've done my homework, me folks, you know, I've really looked into these big religions, like all of them, like, you know what I mean? And I've got like, unfortunately, there's so many people out there who are nice people who are caught up in it, and it's not their fault. All they have to do is get real and realise they are the church, you know what I mean? But the Puff, the adult would want to have, like, there's a bribe, think about it, right? There's a bribe, because in the subtext of Mormonism, there's this thing that says, I can't remember the exact wording, right, folks, but you've got to think of American, you know, the way they like classical American English kind of thing. And it was this reference to the holy sensation or feeling in the bosom, right? You know, the bosom is there. You know, when you hold someone close, you hold them in your bosom. That's your bosom, is your chest where your heart is, and that, like, you know what I mean? And your lungs, right, folks? Hear what I'm saying? Lungs. And like, when you're in, say you're getting your bribe instead of you're an adult. Oh, hang on, there is a dude, just reading the comments here. There is a dude that I think is a rap, but he is pretty good. James Williams talks about chasing the dragon. I figured it must be some drug. I was married to a Mormon, this guy's saying. Or this person's saying, I was married to a Mormon. So you know. You understand what I'm saying. Listen, folks, it's like breaking people out of jail, getting people out of Mormonism. It's like an operation. It's like, you know, like like when they went to do like the embassy siege or something like that. Like you burst in there and you grab this Mormon's hand and you go, come on, quick, run before they catch us, quick. But behind there is a bribery system, because it's like the holy feeling in the bosom, right? Now, you ask any hard drug user about the hit they get off these drugs when it goes into the lungs. We're not talking about cannabis here, folks. We're talking about like the puff, magic puff. It's materialised into weed over the time, like, obviously, but there seems to be, remember years ago it was legal. Just think about that. In the 1800s in England, I could go into a chemist and buy a bottle of laudanum or a chunk of opium off of, you know, someone in the street, and no one would think twice about it, you know what I mean? There's a film out there called From Hell with Johnny Depp, yeah, and he's a detective, and he's investigating the Jack the Ripper murders, right? And he uses opium to put him in a trance so he can find out more about the murderer. You know, he's like dreaming it all. He's seen it all in his opium dream, basically. So somewhere in society, in history, we know that there was a reward system. And they must have said, like, you know, here's your... And in some cases, the other one is, you know, they put it in your, you know, what we call a suppository. They put it in your backside. They actually put it in the anal canal, right? And it basically renders you a zombie, right? Now think about what they do in Islam. I'm not knocking Islamics, right, guys? I'm not knocking Muslims, man. All people are equal to me. But if you're being duped by a dragon and a beast, I will be the first to speak out and tell you, you know what I mean? Much till I'll probably end up getting stoned to death after this speech, right? What do guys do in their mosques? Right, what do they do in a mosque? How do they pray? They leave the bums sticking up in the air. Right, now, this day and age, no one does anything to them or anything like that. Do you know what I'm saying? But back in the old times, they probably had no pants on and someone went round going, pop, 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 putting, instead of the Puff the Magic Dragon in the lungs, pop in the backside, man. And then when you sit up after your prayer, you're basically a zombie. You're not being moved by a Holy Spirit. You're not being moved by a God. You're being controlled, because I'm sure if someone did it to me, right, they give me this suppository of pure opium in my backside, right, I'll probably stand up and go, yes, master, whatever you say. Because you're basically in a dream state, you're in a sleep state, you're no longer in control of what you're doing. Do you know what I'm saying? It's called mind control for a reason, man. So do you see where I'm tying the dots together, like saying Puff the Magic Dragon? And obviously people think it's magic. It's not magic. It's opium. Right. And over the years, they've stopped giving them opium. They've stopped giving them rewards, and they tap into the heads instead with the printed matter on the pages of a book. You know, where you're reading day in, day out, every single day reading. That's taking your eye completely. You're no longer got your eyes closed like that all day and night. Like, oh man, this stuff's really strong, you know. You know, you're actually sitting there like that instead, and it's, you know, it was Karl Marx. Karl Marx said, religion is the opium of the masses. And I got to agree with that statement. It's an incredible declaration, isn't it? What a statement. So you can see where I'm coming from. They used a drug as a reward system to tell people that they're being... Like, they might, you know, some people might go, they mistake the high off it, because I'm seeing it everywhere around me, guys. I'm actually seeing people, I think pot should be legalised. I think things should be legalised to stop the gangsters ruling the way they do, if you know what I mean, and give people what they want and shut them up, basically. But they're all starting to worship the cannabis plant over the top these days. It's crazy. I understand the recreation, but we're getting to a point where it's like, or, you know, Bill and Ben, the flower pot men. They go, weed. You know, this flower comes up in the middle of them, and they go, rah, 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 and they do anything for it, mate. This flower goes, weed. Bill and Ben, they're turning all men into Bill and Ben. You know what I mean? They're all starting to... I can't live without weed. I can't live without weed. Obviously, at some point in the past, it'd have been much stronger, yeah? Right? And what was the thing? I was just gonna... Oh man, I was on a thought wave. Oh, come on, Bruce. Oh man, something very important thing. But anyway, a magic puff, right? The holy vibe in the bosom. So I assume this once upon a time in Mormon America. They might have give them things, and people think like, whoa. Or you can drink it, can't you? You know, you can have all kinds of mixtures and concoctions, and you think you're high, you think you're seeing spiritual or religious rewards kind of thing, and you're high as a kite. You're just basically intoxicated. You find out when like that church is gone and you can't take it anymore, and the guy who's giving you it, like he's no longer around, and then you start having a cold turkey, right? And the cold turkey must have been their way of saying, see, without our spiritual leader, you are nothing. You need us now, don't you? And you'd be like, yeah, man, I'll do anything. I'll clean your shoes. I'll do anything for a hit, man. Nothing's changed. You know what I mean? The preachers and dealers, basically. That's my personal opinion, like. Oh, man, what was this thing I had in my head? What, my train of thoughts gone right off the rails. The sun's blinding me here, mate. Yeah. So we're seeing a link between, like, tin halos. You know, when I say a tin halo, someone's putting on a show, aren't they? I could have been imagining it, like, you know, there's the proof, like, there's paintings everywhere that look like that, isn't there? With the, you know, like a, just like, you know, Doris from down the road, the shopkeeper, like, as the Madonna, like, and her son, like, you know, Fred, whatever, with his halo, like, you know. But if you were intoxicated, you'd think anything looks amazing, wouldn't you? You'd think anything looks holy or amazing because you're intoxicated. Oh, come on, Bruce, come on. What was the regarding the suppositories? Oh man, what was it like? I was told by a drug addict that, like, someone on drugs, he told me years ago, he said, did you know you can take hard drugs in your backside, man? I'm like, don't like the sound of that, like. But why do Muslims put the bums up in the air, guys? They might have had a hatch, you know, what they call a hatch on the back of the trousers, or some kind of opening, like, and then along comes the poppet. Like, you know, there's sweets out there called poppets. Do you remember them? They used to be like a little box with, like, they were like little chocolates with, like, either peanuts or raisins in the middle of them, and they were called poppets. Mary Poppins. Mary, which Mary are we talking about? That one there, right? Mary, along comes Mary Poppins, mate. A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. The holy buzz in the bosom, like, the holy buzz in the bosom, the dragon in the lungs, and the fire-breathing dragon legends. Right. Both of them, yeah. I ate mushrooms once. This is the one of my comments from my friend in America, in Indiana. He says, I ate mushrooms once. I laughed and laughed. Yeah. That's like, man, you can have mushrooms, right, and it can be really serious and heavy going and really scary, and some people just laugh their heads off. Do you understand? It can be the most hilarious experience on earth for them, like. You know, I dig mushrooms. They're one of the only drugs, so-called drugs on the planet. You don't have to go to a dealer, you know what I mean? You go pick them, like. I used to live in Birkenhead, where there was a shop in town that was charging, like, £15 for, like, 12 mushrooms. Rip-off merchants, you know, actually selling the things, man. Well, I've got some things to reveal about mushroom journeys, you know what I mean? Anyway, how long have I been on? I don't even know. My thing is saying 2 hours, 22 minutes. And I can't have been on for 2 hours, surely. Hold on, folks, I just need to... Leave the sun shining on me, eh? But, oh, come on, Bruce, there was something I had very important to say. You know, it was another little... Oh, come on, Bruce. But do you see where I'm coming from, folks? That a lot of these worship places, these places of worship, if you're intoxicated enough, like, folks, you're going to be looking up to anybody, like, you know, if Norman Wisdom came on the stage saying he was God, and you were high on drugs or high on the holy dragon in the bosom, keeping you warm, that warm, fuzzy glow inside. And you think everything's amazing, and on comes Norman Wisdom going, you'd be like, oh hell, Norman Wisdom. You know, you can't help it. Your euphoria has been tapped into, or you go to a rave, they give you an ecstasy tablet, right? They stick some shit piece of music on going, and the next thing, because you're on an ecstasy, you're going, but they might as well go like, puff the magic dragon, they're smacking these tablets, puff the magic dragon, puff the magic dragon. But what's crazy, right, folks, I used to have a girlfriend, right? I used to see this chick, right? Very intelligent girl, artist, right? She was an artist. She absolutely hated religion. When I started saying I was having visions and speaking to God and things like that, she went mad with me. She was like, there's no such thing, you know what I mean? We ended up splitting up, like. But something I always recognised with her that was quite crazy, she had this fascination for dragons, right? Including the Orientals. I'm actually a Chinese, you know me Chinese star sign, I'm actually a dragon, like, in China, you know, the Chinese star signs, like. But she had this fascination for dragons, right? She knew people that played, you know, the game Dungeons and Dragons. I couldn't get away with it even if I tried. You know what I mean? I tried my best to just mind my own business. I'm just an artist. I just love music or art. And I get to know this girl. She was lovely, you know what I mean? Like, really attractive, everything. Perfect bird and everything. But she had this... what I thought was, you know, I'd try and find out what the source of everyone's problem is, if that makes any sense. And she said when she was a kid, she used to have these nightmares that she was in a room completely surrounded with fire, right? And I was like totally engulfed in flames. She used to say, I used to have these nightmares, I was totally engulfed in flames, right? And when I got to know her, in her bedroom was this, you know, when you make things in school, you do pottery. And think about this, you know, the Bible says, you shall not make carved images, or you've got to be very careful. There's art, and there's art and sculpture, and, you know, I make a tiger out of bronze, or, you know, you know what I mean, it says a tiger, bronze, like... There's a difference between making animals or wildlife, or, you know what I mean? There's a different element to being idolatry, isn't there, right? But this girl I used to know, she was so compelled in school. She was a good artist. She was really good, you know, sculpture, art, making clothes, you know. I don't know if she made the uniforms for the Civil War, like, but she was a seamstress, basically. She was very skillful with the needle, right? I don't mean that kind of needle. Don't mean the needle in the arm, like, but maybe I wouldn't know, would I? You know what I mean? But she did have this strange fascination for dragons, right? To the point that while she was in school, she said, I don't know why I did this. When I was like 12 or 14 in school, I made this, like, and it was this... It looked like Puff the Magic Dragon, my friends. It was Puff the Magic Dragon, but, like, you know, made like out of pottery on this land, and you know, she said in the kiln when it was heated, and no, it was in a kiln on fire. You know, she had these dreams that she was surrounded by fire, right? You know what I mean? Her artistic eye went into the kiln was the moment she decided to make this dragon, right? And it looked quite cool. She was quite skillful, you know, and it was like a figure of a dragon that was made out of pottery. You know what I mean? I didn't think nothing of it at the time. I didn't have a clue, did I? What was, you know, getting myself into, like. But I used to think, what compelled you to make a dragon in school? A girl? Why would a girl, an attractive young lady, want to make this dragon? And then when we got to know each other, there was like something in her background, something in her world that I didn't like. It was authoritarian. It was in control of her, but it couldn't control me. And I always used to think in my imagination, is this dragon real or something? Like, it's like telling her what to do, like. You know, is it like she's ruled by a dragon? And then one year for Christmas, she bought me a present. You know, when you get a present off your girlfriend for Christmas, right? Now, I'm a guitar player, you know what I mean? And I'm an artist. And I used to be quite poor. I used to want clothes. I used to need, like, you know, socks and underpants and things like that, right? And you think, you know, for Christmas, well, when your girlfriend buys you a present, it could be anything, couldn't it? You know, sometimes it was a nice present, obviously, like, but she gave me this dragon, you know, like made out of pewter. You know, like literally this Lucifer ornament, like, and I always remember, you know, when you haven't got the heart to tell you know, when someone buys you a present and you haven't got the heart to tell them it's shit, you know what I mean? You haven't got the heart to say, like, that's a part, you know, I don't want that, take it back. I was like, she gets it out the box and she goes, look, it's a dragon for you, you know what I mean? I was looking at her thinking, she's into her dragons, but I'm not, you know. I've got memories of singing Puff the Magic Dragon in a church, like. And I was thinking, like, looking at it, thinking, like, you know, I didn't actually admit to it, I didn't like it, you get me? Like, but I was like, that could have been a Boss distortion pedal or a leather jacket, because it cost like 50 quid, you know, it was expensive. But the dragon had this insignia, this little sign on it, and it said, Keeper of the Magic. You know, which brings us back to the Merlin legacies and all this, you know. I remember you know, the female character, Vivian, is supposed to be the lover of Merlin, isn't she, right? What did she do to him? She tied him up in chains so he couldn't defend himself, you know, like when a woman is obsessed. Completely bound him in chains. She might have intoxicated him, who knows? You know, poppets. She might have given him a Mary Poppin, like. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up now. I know it's been compelling, and all 2 viewers watching at the moment. 2 viewers, man. One of these days, I'll go on a live stream. It'll be like thousands of people. I don't know. But yeah, I'm trying to think of before I get off, before I go. Oh, one more thing, like. But it's become cigarettes, hasn't it? Become. The dragon, when people stand there with a cigarette in their mouth, even if it's not even drugs in it, like, it's just a cigarette, and tobacco doesn't even get you high, does it, guys? It's like, it's totally useless, man, you know what I mean? It's useless, right? But everyone's doing that, right? You go around the shops, you see a little orange light. I'm not talking about older folks, you know, guys. You know, older folks who smoked all their lives. My advice to people is carry on, you know what I mean? Because, you know, when my mum stopped smoking, she passed on. It's the sort of thingy tomorrow of my mum's passing, like, so, you know, I'll be a bit somber tomorrow, like. But anyway, the cigarette thing, it kills people, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's not doing you any favours. It causes illnesses. Back in the day when Walter Raleigh first brought tobacco over to England, right, it'd have been a big deal, wouldn't it? They'd have kept it to themselves. It'd have been like scoring nice weed or something these days, you know what I mean? Now it's as common as muck, isn't it, tobacco, but they still charge you for it. And everyone's got the fire there, like the Puff the Magic Dragon. So anyway, I think I've said enough, haven't I? Do you think I've said enough? What do you reckon, Indiana? Have I said enough? Do you think it's been do you think I've done enough as a compelling... Have I covered some subjects here that, like, I will go into subdivides of what I'm saying, the point I'm getting at, right? And I'll go into various religions and I'll tell you what I think, right? I believe in God. I completely believe in God, and I know that the scriptures, the core of the scriptures, are real, man. There's some good stuff in there. That was a point I was going to make. I'm noticing a lot of people lately these days, right, folks? People who know and stuff like that, we're all being compelled to argue with one another online and things, right, guys? Now, you know what you should do? All just keep the peace. This is my advice to everyone out there. Just keep the peace, even if you don't like each other, right? Because these principalities, the Bible does call them principalities. They're not people, they're not flesh. And they can drive us up the wall. They can make us all hate each other if they try hard enough. But if we're aware of them and we're resilient to it, like, they can't do nothing. They can't actually harm us or reach us or touch us or punch us or hit us. They can only make us hit each other. They can make us the two dragons arguing with each other. The principalities are the source of all of that activity. They stay out of sight. They want us all fighting and arguing. I'm not going to go along with it. I love everyone. Only those people who hate me and are going to attack me, you know what I mean? I would gladly knock you out with a baseball bat if they hate me, like, you know. But we all need to stop arguing. Think about this, folks. The principalities, I know the scriptures are real just from that alone, just from that advice when it says it's not flesh we're dealing with, it's not, you know, we're not wrestling with flesh and blood. The principalities. But you have got a dragon and a beast of some kind. I might go into that in detail. I don't want to get too heavy, because I don't want people like thinking about it too much. My advice to people is be wary these days of people trying to stir up trouble in your life, you know. Try and keep the peace with everyone you know. I don't mean being corny, I don't mean being all nice and corny, I mean like, you know, be realistic, love your own and all that, like, and see where it gets you, man. It's cool. Better advice there, like. Wow, what happened to my screen there? No, it's alright. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up now anyway. I've been dying to talk about that for a while. Like, I wanted people to... I don't think I've ever told the story about the tin halo to anyone, like, you know, but it made me think, must be guys on stage doing these things. And years ago, when you know, it wasn't televised, and then, you know, you could have done anything, couldn't you, in the old days, to make money and take people's money, like. Well, the royal family is still doing it today, folks. Let's face it, come on. They are still putting on a show, like Inland Revenue. They don't pass buckets around these days. It's the Inland Revenue and the TV license and stuff like that, like. And if you're a good boy, you get your lollipop and that, like, you know. If you're one of the good boys and that, like, you get a lollipop. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up anyway. I need to take a break. I need to make a cup of tea. Chill out, drink some tea. Tea in my magic Liverpool cup. So, yeah, just before I go off, I'm trying to recall, there was a major factor I had to say. Oh, come on, Bruce. What is it? Oh dear. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I hope I've made enough crucial points anyway. And thanks for watching, everyone. And I'll be back soon with some more fantastic tunes and some more fantastic stories to tell. And we try and blow the lid off religion itself, because it's causing a lot of grief, you know, folks. I'm seeing a lot of friction out there in the name of religions. I don't understand it by now. We should have worked it out, shouldn't we, you know? But, yeah, when all said and done. Yeah, I don't think that is going to happen in America. Bye. Okay, thanks for watching, my friend. Yeah, I'm getting off, and I appreciate anyone who's going to watch this later on, obviously. Like I say, I'm not live streaming to get like loads of people watching, folks. The idea is once you press the stop button, it automatically, YouTube it goes straight to YouTube though, and they sort it out. They process it, like. That's why I do a live stream sometimes. Yeah, thanks for watching. And if you're watching the belated version, you're watching it later on tonight or whatever, like, or recall or whatever, thanks for watching. I hope you've been compelled. I hope it's been interesting. I hope the penny drops. I hope people realise what I'm trying to say. It's not worth killing each other for religion. Thanks for watching. Getting along. Cheerio, everyone. and I'll be back soon. Soon. Not to be confused with any Sunni religion. Sunnis. No, I'll be back soon.